Hey guys, what's going on? JJ Wilson here. I'm gonna make this rather short. I'm just gonna give a quick thoughts on this new anime I've been checking out. This particular season has been pretty jam packed. There's a bunch of anime out right now that a lot of people are hyping up, and I decided to watch one of these shows coming out this summer called To the Abandoned Sacred Beast. So watching 2 episodes in, I'm liking what I'm seeing so far in terms of the story and what these particular characters are capable of, especially the protagonist Hank. He's the captain of this special group of people who have the capability of turning themselves into beasts. They're called incarnates, and so they're part of a army, I believe. I don't know the entire story per se, like verbatim, but basically there's a country. Let me get the name of the country right quick. The country is called Patria, and basically it's a civil war going on. So the Incarnates, the group that Hank belongs to, they're part of the northern part of that particular continent, and they're fighting against the people from the south. And so, from my understanding, the south has more soldiers and more armies and I guess more well-trained soldiers and stuff like that. So, in order to compensate, the north, I guess, devised like a scientific experiment which created these beings called incarnates, right? So one of these scientists that kind of aids the incarnates is Elaine, and she ends up dying in the first episode, so that's a little spoiler there. So yeah, the incarnates, man, they come in first episode right off the bat, they just go to work. They kill off a lot of people, and they're fighting battle after battle after battle until finally the war ends, and basically by the time the war, but before the last battle, by the end of the episode, you know, Elaine has to come face to face with Hank and pretty much tell him what the inevitable fate of the incarnates is going to be, because there's a character in that episode that eventually loses his mind, he loses his sense of humanity, and he ends up getting killed by the very allies he was fighting for, not by the incarnates, but by the human allies that they were fighting in cooperation with. So you get to learn why that is when you watch it. And so eventually, Hank, he almost dies because of Elaine, because she pretty much made up her mind. She has to plead to him because they kind of have a romantic thing going on between the two. She kind of has to tell him like, hey, I can't let this happen to you. You need to die right here. Yeah, I don't want you to lose your humanity. So she shoots Hank. Next thing you know, his companion, I guess his second in command, dude's name is Kane, so he's actually the antagonist. He pretty much is informed of what's going to happen before this last battle, I guess. So Elaine pretty much plans to kill all the incarnates, and so before that happens, she ends up getting killed by Kane, gets shot and stuff like that. So yeah, that pretty much sets up the very next part of that story going in episode 2. And Hank does survive the shooting that he inflicted. That he got inflicted upon by his girlfriend Elaine or whatever. And by that we meet another character that's obviously fan service, so you'll get to see that. I'm not going to reveal her name. You'll have to watch it for yourself. So the second protagonist is a girl by the name of Nancy Bancroft, and we find out the second episode her dad is an incarnate as well. And at first he kind of lives a peaceful life with her and some of the orphanage kids, because that's where she works under her dad in the orphanage. And so the military just comes out of nowhere and tells him, hey, he needs to fight for the country, and he does so. And then by the time he comes back, he can't go back to his human form. He's pretty much stuck in his incarnate form, his dragon form. And eventually he loses his self of humanity. Eventually he gets killed by Hank, who kind of catches wind that he's still alive and he can't get back to his human form again. So I guess he travels to this very city that he's from, kills off Nancy's dad. So naturally Nancy's upset about that. Not to mention she loses the children. Children have to leave because it wasn't safe for them. And she's pretty much ticked off, and she's trying to get at Hank. So I'm not going to tell you exactly what happens between the two. You have to watch the remainder of the second episode. But like I said, I do like what I see so far. Let's see if it gets any better from here. That's all I have to say. Let me know what else you guys thought about this particular anime. You know, what you like it or what you don't like about it. And I'm gonna leave it at that. I'll catch you all later.